everyone, it is time for a new video, and today I'm here with another wrap up because like I said in my last one, I do want to try to do this regularly, and I can say that February was a pretty great reading month. I have been working on getting out of a reading slump, and so I'm finally reading a little bit more variety in my genres. And it's been going well, and I actually read 15 books even though it was just a 28-day month, and so I'm happy with that, and I want to tell you about it, so let's just jump straight into it. So the first book that I read is The Witch Doesn't Drown in This One by Amanda Lovelace, which is their newest poetry collection, and I enjoyed this, didn't love it. I have read, honestly, I think every single one of Amanda Lovelace's poetry collections, so clearly there is something that I keep coming back for, and it is like, they're always easy to read and very accessible, very short, and you know, and I do like the meaning behind them, just not necessarily the poems themselves a lot of the time, and so I do think they all are very similar to each other, and so it's not honestly the best idea to read every single one of them. And so if you haven't read any of them, I do think it's not a bad book for sure, and there are some meaningful poems, and again, it's just very easy to read. But it was not my favorite, unfortunately. So not the best start, you know, but it's gonna go up from here. Then I read The Scots Seduction by Megan Frampton, which I very much enjoyed. This one is a historical romance, and I'm so happy to tell you I am finally reading historical romance regularly, and it's always been a genre, well, not always, but for the past maybe 5-6 years. It's been a genre that I really love and I enjoy honestly every single time. I don't know if I've read any bad historical romance books. And at the same time though, it's just something that I never managed to prioritize and makes a super like regular thing in my reading life. I always just read a bunch at a time and then, you know, I forget about it for half a year, and I don't want to do that anymore. And I also loved the new Bridgerton season so much, and I just, again, you know, like motivated me to read more of historical romance, and I love Megan Frampton. Now my biggest goal is to find new historical romance authors, because I have, let's say, maybe like 6 or 7 that I read on a regular basis and I love them all, but I have not found any new ones in a long time. So anyways, I loved this. This one has a Scottish hero, as the title kind of suggests, and a Londoner heroine, and she is honestly very iconic. She values her independence a lot, and she tries to help other women do the same, and the hero is a little more antisocial and reserved, but he, what I wrote in my review is he yearns, and I really enjoyed this. It was super fun. It is honestly pretty fast burn and spicy and fun, and just such a quick read. The hero asks the heroine for help with his niece and like helping her debut in society, and in return he's gonna help her achieve her dreams. And it was just super fun and amazing. I loved the characters, and yeah, so definitely enjoyed this one and highly recommend it. Then I read Time Will Tell by Hannah Bonham Young, and this is a romance novella which is part of this like Valentine's short story collection, and I really enjoyed this. I honestly don't want to tell you much about it because, you know, like, it's super short, but 2 people basically fall in love through sending emails to each other about their grandmothers who they find out were in love. And it's super cute, and, you know, just like, yeah, it's sweet and all of those things, and just such a good vibe. With any of these like Kindle Unlimited short story collections, I feel like so often I have read really good ones that build the characters in like that short amount of time very well, but then they definitely do feel kind of like cut off at the end. I have read so many novellas in my life, and I can tell you it is possible to wrap it up well, even if it's short. Obviously that's not the purpose of them, and that's fine, but I do wish there was like, it always makes me want more, and while that's kind of a good feeling, it's also not the best feeling, because I'm just like, what do you mean is the end, you know? And I don't love feeling that way. But anyway, it is a quick and amazing read, and obviously if you want something like, you know, a little palate cleanser, or you just don't have much time and you want a little, you know, book, I would definitely recommend this. Again, super meaningful and sweet. Then I read 2 volumes of The Kiss Bet by Ingrid Aqua, which is number 2 and number 3, and I mentioned this in my January wrap up. That is when I started it, and oh my god, once again, I'm so happy that I discovered this like absolute gold mine of like webtoon graphic novels. There's so much that's been published into actual novels, and I'm obsessed with everything I've read on there so far, and this one I am loving more and more with every single volume. The first one I was like, okay, this is cute, I love the art style, but there were some things in the plot that were a little bit, you know, frustrating or whatever. But in these two, it's really like developing nicely, and I think the thing that's amazing about the graphic novels that started on Webtoon is they can be really long sometimes, which gives the authors space to really go deep into the characters' journeys. And, you know, so obviously in the volumes, since they're not that long on its own, like, you know, one volume isn't that long, that then like each one, obviously, you know, at the beginning there's not that much that happens. But over time, you have so much time to spend with the characters, unlike the novella. Complete opposite of that experience, and I'm really loving that, and I just love graphic novels so much, and I'm so happy I'm finally reading them again. It's the best thing ever. And so this one is basically like a YA contemporary coming of age story, to be honest. There is a romance, there is honestly not even a love triangle, it's like 3 love interests and a lot of chaos and, you know, some fun friendships and things like that, and amazing character development, to be honest. And that is what I'm really seeing in volume 3, where, you know, the main character is really focusing on herself and figuring out what she wants in life, and I love that. So it's super cute, super fun, and I highly recommend it. And I say that as someone who despises love triangles, but in here it's just like so unhinged that I do like it. You know, it's just it's just fun, and I do believe that is gonna work out in a way that I do like, you know. So highly recommend this one for sure. Then I read Passenger Princess by Morgan Elizabeth, and this one is a bodyguard Grumpy Sunshine romance, and the main character is a Miss Americana. And so he, you know, obviously is her bodyguard and is kind of like forbidden and whatever. And I really enjoyed this. It's forbidden in the way that like he's her bodyguard and he wants to be professional, and she's the Miss Americana and she's not supposed to date anyone. And yeah, but this was just very addicting, fast-paced, steamy, fun romance. Very cute. A lot of like wish fulfillment moments that, you know, I'm like, yeah, I wish this was realistic. It's probably not, but I love to read about it. So yeah, I think this is like the second, no, maybe it's not the second book in the series. It might actually be the first for once, which, you know, I read things out of order very often. But anyway, I really want to read the other books in this series, and so I will be doing that soon, but this one was super fun. Then I continued another webtoon, and I read volume 2 of Daybreak by Musab. And once again, similar experience as with the Kismet. It is really evolving in a way that is super sweet. This is a very slow burn best friends to lovers romance, and it's a queer romance, and there's so much diversity in so many ways in this series. It's done so well, and, you know, it's casual but meaningful. These graphic novels are super cute, and that is like the main thing. Like ultimate comfort reads, the best vibes ever, honestly, like very low angst and kind of like slice of life. You know, there's not that much that happens, but it's just a great time. And again, the art is beautiful, the characters are beautiful, and I will of course be continuing it as well. Then I read Impossible Match by Raquel Wolf, which is a sapphic arranged marriage romance, and it is a novella. I think it's like 100-something pages, and the main characters are both rich, and yeah, honestly, I just ran into this, randomly listened to the audiobook, and it was a very fun, quick, steamy read, and I enjoyed it, and I will definitely check out some of the other books by this author. Then I also listened to another audiobook by Christina C. Jones, which was definitely not a thing. And I loved this one. I love Christina C. Jones, and I actually, like, I always used to read her books on Kindle Unlimited. She has a lot of audiobooks that I'm gonna absolutely love that I think I need to read as well. And this one was absolutely one of them. The cover got my attention, and then again, of course, I love Christina C. Jones, and it's also, like, I don't think it's a novella, but it is very short, if it's a novel. The heroine recently broke up with her boyfriend, and, you know, he wasn't like the best boyfriend. She moves into an apartment building where he lives, and she meets one of her neighbors, who is a different guy entirely, and they kind of have a dislike to love relationship, and she's like, you know, I don't want to date anyone right now and whatever. But then they do in fact get together. Super fun, addicting, steamy. There's some fun like forced proximity moments, and just absolutely amazing. Again, Christina S. G. Jones writes such amazing books that I immediately just like, what's it called? I immediately just, you know, devour. And I love that feeling, especially, of course, again, I have been in a reading slump. And so this absolutely was perfect for me. And if you are in a reading slump, you should definitely check it out. And I feel like Christina S. Jones usually writes shorter books, not every single time, but a lot of them are maybe around 200 pages. And even still, the characters are well developed and the romance feels real and fun and amazing, and she writes amazing chemistry. And so I devoured this, and you absolutely should as well. Then I read another one of the Valentine's novellas, which was Accidentally Yours by Christina Lawrence. And this is a office romance, and it kind of has like the dual identity where they don't know that they actually know each other and that kind of stuff. I probably liked the Hannah Bonham Young one a little bit more, but this, again, you know, super quick read, very easy, and I did enjoy it. So that is that one. Then probably my favorite book of the month is The Sun and the Star Maker by Rachel Griffin, and I had an early audiobook on through Libro FM. And immediately I saw the cover, and you know, like, I am getting out of my fantasy slump as well. And it's been going kind of well, but honestly pretty slowly. And so I'm still a little bit hesitant, and I'm trying to figure out what I really like in the genre and what I'm looking for. And the second that I saw this cover, I was like, yeah, this is exactly what I'm looking for. And it did not disappoint. It was beautiful. I honestly desperately want to buy a physical copy of this because I loved it so much, and it is out now. And I just like fell in love more and more with every single page. The beginning felt a little bit slow. It has a very strong fairy tale vibe. And so we basically follow this story of a star maker who helps the sun rise into the sky, and every single time there's like a new person that gets the gift of being the new star maker and then replaces the original one. And so our female main character gets this, you know, magic, and she is going to be the next star maker. They have to start living together, and many other things happen. And yeah, absolutely forced proximity. I would say dislike to love for sure, and just very magical in this soft and beautiful way that is just like absolutely wonderful. And oh my god, this is the most amazing love story. Like, I loved it so much, and it touched me so deeply. It was beautiful and magical, and I loved every second. And I now need to read every single book by Rachel Griffin because this was incredible. And yeah, I need everyone to read it, and I'm so happy that I did. And again, motivated me to read more fantasy because I desperately need that kind of magic in my life. And so definitely pick this one up. Next book is tragically the only physical book that I read. Once again, last month I also read one physical book, and honestly it's like really bad. And to be fair, like, I try not to feel like actually bad about it because my job has been super stressful and incredibly physically exhausting, and so obviously like reading physically is kind of like the most physically exhausting. But in March I have very strong goals to read more. And I have now already on March 2nd read one physical book. So, you know, it's starting off well. And if I read even just one more, it's gonna be better than last month. But anyways, the book was Tall, Duke, and Dangerous by Megan Frampton. Once again, so another Megan Frampton book. And this is one that I've been wanting to reread for a very long time. And I finally did. I'm very happy. I really want to do more rereads this year because I never really given myself the space to do so. But every time I've reread something in the past, I always enjoyed it. You know, it's never that I regretted it or anything like that. Obviously, I want to read new books, but with the volume of books that I read, I absolutely forget the details of even my favorite books. And so I'm like, you know what? Why wouldn't I want to experience that feeling again? And so I'm very happy I read this. This is obviously another historical romance, and it's Grumpy Sunshine. And it is Brother's best friend. He basically becomes kind of like her trainer in self-defense, and at the same time, you know, they try to resist their feelings for each other. He kind of has to get married. His grandmother is pressuring him into it. and he, you know, he's a duke, and so obviously, you know, all that, like, I need to have an heir shit, you know? And he is determined not to marry for love because his father was a disgusting person and he never wants to be like him, and so he does not want to marry anyone that he actually truly loves because he wants to have like a very like emotionally distant relationship that is only like mutually beneficial in like other, you know, aspects. And so once he starts falling in love with her, it's like, oh shit, you know, what am I supposed to do now? So that is the vibe of this one. Super fun and steamy and beautiful. And yeah, so I obviously enjoyed this one. Then I read The Wild Card by Stephanie Archer, which is a sports romance. So in this one, the heroine is the daughter of a man who owns this hockey team, and he basically, she is very familiar with the team though. She works at a bar, you know, where the hockey players go all the time, and she knows some of them and whatever. But she's not in touch with her dad. She does not like him because he was never present in her life. And when he says that he's gonna sell the team, she has to step in to, you know, stop that from happening because she is friends with people on the team. And then we have our hero who is a single dad and he's also the coach of the team. And there is definitely some forced proximity and maybe like a, you know, living together situation where she lives in his guest house. And there's nothing more that I love than forced proximity. And this isn't exactly roommates, but it's close enough. And I loved this. I loved his daughter as well and her relationship with the heroine. And it was just super fun. Stephanie Archer writes very fun, addicting sports romances. And I really do want to read more sports romance. Like, I've read enough, you know, like I've read a decent amount, but I have not had enough. And yeah, so anyways, I did enjoy this very much. We are on to the last two books, which is The V-Day Getaway by Lauren Lacey, which is a Valentine's Day romance novella. So, you know, I had big plans to read Valentine's themed books, and it absolutely did not happen because, again, I had absolutely no time whatsoever, but I did read this one. I honestly just really liked the cover. It looked super cute. The book was very fun as well. Super low angst, very steamy, very cute. They just obviously have a Valentine's Day getaway, and it's just like, you know, the hero worshiping her and doing so many different sweet things for her. And it was amazing and super fun and a very quick read as well. And last but not least, I read Once Upon a K-Prom by Kat Cho, which is a YA contender romance. We have estranged childhood best friends to lovers, where he became a K-pop idol and he moved out of town, and, you know, he stopped talking to the main character, but they made a promise to each other when they were kids that they would go to prom together, and he comes back to fulfill this promise, and things go on from there. And I really enjoyed this one. It was super fun, very cute, and some amazing side characters in here as well. And overall just a really good time. And YA romance is another thing that I want to read more of. And so I'm happy that I have been. Not like a super big amount, but like I don't need it to be a super big amount as long as, you know, it's consistent. So that will be all for today, and I am happy that I did another wrap up. So if you made it this far in the video, leave a boat emoji down below, and thank you so much for watching, and I will definitely see you next month. And I intend for March to be an even better reading month, so let's hope that happens. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and I will see you soon in another video. Bye!